गुड मॉर्निंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। मॉर्निंग, आई एम एंजॉयिंग माय मॉर्निंग कॉफी। आई होप यू सो आर यू। वेल, वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक ऑफ two things today. The twin arrows of POK and Sindh, which have been shot into Pakistan by our defense minister, and Anarchy to Yunarchy. I'll start with 1947 and go to 2024. And let's look at the troubled past of East Pakistan, Bangladesh, East Pakistan 1.5. Let's get going. Right. We all know that, yesterday the defense minister came out with a statement and it's all over the media, right? But I don't want to see that statement in isolation. I want to see that statement as part of the larger picture. That's the way I always done that. Right. So we'll do that. So let's get going into the whole thing. 3 days back, I said India is on the move. India is changing. And I quoted John Spencer and I analyzed this article. And I said India is transforming under fire. Sorry, I didn't say that. John Spencer in his article has written India is transforming under fire. India is not becoming reckless. It is becoming coherent. It is aligning doctrine, public expectations, defense industrial capacity, and geopolitical messaging around a single principle. Security must be achieved by India, not granted through outside mediation or constrained by outdated assumptions. India has written a new playbook. The world needs to catch up. Most importantly, Pakistan needs to understand this. I see this message by our defense minister in this context. We are transforming. Gone are the days when we're just going to use force against Pakistan. I think there is a new playbook which is coming in. And that new playbook is beyond what John Spencer also wrote. John Spencer wrote only about the military aspect of it, and there is a geopolitical aspect, India's geopolitical outlook. Let me tell you, just think, if tomorrow Pakistan is broken, the complete geopolitical story of the subcontinent will change. If the subcontinent changes, the world changes. Am I building castles in air? I don't think so. This is pressure. And I'll talk why. And there's an inevitability of it which is happening. And that's the new playbook I'm going to talk of today. The twin arrows of POK and Sindh, which have been fired into Pakistan. Right. This is what our defense minister said. So first, let's listen to him.
आज सिंध की भूमि, मेरे बहनों भाइयों, यह भारत का हिस्सा भले ही न हो, लेकिन सभ्यतागत रूप से सिंध हमेशा भारत का हिस्सा रहेगा। और जहां तक जमीन की बात है, तो बॉर्डर तो बदल सकते हैं, जमीन भारत का ही रहेगा। That's very important.
क्या पता कल को सिंध भारत में फिर से वापस आए।
क्या पता कल सिंध भारत में वापस आ जाए। A very, 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 very powerful statement. Is it intent or is he playing to the galleries? But there is a reaction. Okay, there's a long reaction by Pakistan. Pakistan strongly condemns the Indian Defense Minister's delusional and dangerously revisionist remarks regarding Pakistan's Sindh province. Such statements reveal an expansionist Hindutva mindset. Fine, great. If Pakistan can have an Islamist mindset, I don't mind having a Hindutva mindset. But more importantly, I would like to have a Bharatiya mindset, the Indian mindset, getting back to our Indian subcontinent. No more South Asia, Indian subcontinent. That's the mindset I'm looking at it. And look at two responses. This is by Shafi Burfat. Who's Shafi Burfat? He's part, you know, of the national movement of Sindhu Desh, Jio Sindhu, ye jo bhi hai. And he talks of the depths of our hearts and, from the Sindhi nation. And he's welcomed this statement. So there is an issue within Pakistan, which we always knew Sindh was in a problem. Is it time to shoot this arrow, dig this arrow deeper? I think so. Are we doing it? The statement suggests so. Look, this is what I've always said. The blast can be at Delhi. You don't have to give it a violent edge. Put a dagger. Put a dagger in Pakistan's heart. Or if not next to its heart, cut off the artery. And very interestingly, there's a reaction from Afghanistan. And not these two chaps are great. They're not great leaders, but they've given a sentiment. What does he say? Rajnath Singh, Indian Defence Minister, says that country's borders are not fixed and that Sindh, which separated from India in 1947, was given to Pakistan, may again become part of India. This is coming from Afghanistan. The next line is important, but up to the Attock Bridge also belongs to Afghanistan. We want our land. We want our own land. So the response from that side, and that response is lethal. That's the lethal response which we need to look at. And we'll discuss. But I won't like to discuss this in isolation. 1 month back, this is what he spoke of, what Defense Minister spoke of. Be okay. I kept this clip with me for all this while. So let's hear that. Very interesting. He says, POK अपने आप आएगा, चिंता क्यों करते हो? Right? That's what his opening statement. Someone has asked him a question, he said this. And let's see what further.
पीओके में डिमांड होने लगी. आपने सुना होगा एक दो बार कुछ लोगों ने नारेबाजी की थी. 5 साल पहले एक बार इंडियन आर्मी को काश्मीर वैली में संबोधित करना था. उस समय ही मैंने कहा पीओके को आक्रमण करके हटाने की जरूरत नहीं. हमारा पड़ोसी है ही, हमारा है ही. और पीओके के लोग स्वयं ये कहेंगे
पीएको को आक्रमण करके हड़पने का प्लान नहीं है. पीओ के लोग स्वयं कहेंगे. क्या कहेंगे? मैं भी भारत हूं.
और वो दिन आने.
And he says वो दिन आने वाला है. This statement on POK, statement on Sindh, put these two together. What do you see? The new playbook. This is the new playbook which Pakistan has to watch out for. And this new playbook can kill Pakistan. I have no doubt about it. If we play this playbook in its entirety, I'm sure all channels will be today talking of Sindh and, all this. No. That's not the way I did think. I think more. I think beyond this. And I think we have to go both ways. And this is the way I think. Yeah. I think we have to hit both. Why? It's not twin arrows into POK and Sindh alone. You look at the Afghan sentiment. There are twin arrows coming from there also. And this twin arrow has the capability of putting Pakistan in a nutcracker. Understand this. This is the important point. How are we going to take it forward is the issue. And so will this. It will leave Punjab isolated. Punjab. I have no problem. Break five. If Pakistan splits into 5, 6, 7, 10 provinces, we'll deal with it. I always say the problem won't run away. The problem will morph. That's okay. We'll still deal with it. If you can deal with this huge Pakistan, which is in a tremendous mess, you will deal with 10 Pakistans, which are also in a tremendous mess. So what? Right? We need to do this. I do hope the government takes this forward. On the Afghanistan side, the situation is very clear. I showed you an article a few days back where a Pakistani has written, the idol breakers have become idol worshippers about Afghanistan. You see the contacts which are taking place between Afghanistan and India after Mutaki's trip. The commerce minister is here. I showed this clip 3 days back where he says, look, everyone kept our money and everything, but it was India who gave us food. No one else gave us food. Today, flights between Kabul and Amritsar have restarted. They are welcoming it. They go from the top. So I suppose they'll go from here. Or Afghan Airlines will come over to India and code share. You know, how you can get over all this? It's happening. Things are changing. Right? So, if this is taken to its logical conclusion, right, things will be very difficult for Pakistan. Very difficult. These 4 arrows which I put might look like arrows only, but those arrows have deep meaning. It's only up to us as to how we're going to play this. But I'll take it a little further. I'll take it here. Again, I'll go back to what John Spencer said in that article, and I spoke of it. He said a final dimension is often overlooked. China is the silent second audience for India's choices. Signals meant for Pakistan carry an implied message for Beijing. That's the important part. This message, this twin message from our defense minister to Pakistan carry a deep meaning to China. Right? And, I won't get into the military part of it, we'll get to the end. India's new deterrence logic is built for a two-front environment in which actions in one direction have consequences in the other. People are writing about it in a military point of view. I've always said, between nations, the politics is more important than the military or war capabilities or war fighting. So the political is more important than the military. And these two political barbs are not simple, right? They're not simple at all by any stretch of imagination. This is it. Just think of the situation if these two materialize. And these two materialize and these two also materialize. What will happen here? Where should I focus? Where should India focus? Geostrategically, India should focus here. Gilgit Baltistan, Wakhan corridor, in this area. There's another shift which has happened, which we must talk of. 3 years back, when US withdrew from Afghanistan, or rather ran away from Afghanistan, the thinking was that China will step in. They'll come with all their they'll take minerals, all that. That's gone. Has it happened? The Belt of Road initiative was to go into Afghanistan. Has that happened? No. Recently, very recently, one of the Afghans said, you know, Great Britain came into Afghanistan and went away. It is no more great after that. Right? The Soviet Republic came into USSR, came into Afghanistan, and after that, it is no more Soviet Russia. It is now Russia, broken. America came into Afghanistan. America doesn't seem so united anymore. It's not so. The United States of America don't seem to be so united. There's something happening. Pakistan is going in. What will happen to Pakistan? And China is attempting. China knows history. It's not attempting beyond a point. Probably the Chinese have a better sense of history. They're not entering Afghanistan. Take this against what Afghan have indicated to us. They said, please come and explore here. They said, please set your flights. We are open. I have never seen such an outreach, a blatant outreach by Afghanistan to India. So I think we're looking at a very interesting dimension as we go along. The acid test for India will be, right, this, whether we will be able to put this into operation, right, and whether this message goes across to China. Let me tell you, if what our defense minister has said about the Sindh today and POK sometime back, and things are put in place, like I said, the whole thing will change, right? I'll just stick to this for in the morning, right? Evening, Mr. Sri Iyer and General Harimohan will talk on the gunner site in detail. I'll not be joining in because, like I said, I have to go elsewhere. So join in on the gunner site in the evening. It will come live to you here also, right? And you'll get the second angle of what General Harimohan and Sri Iyer Ji will talk today evening, right? And we'll see how it goes forward. This is not the end of the story, the way I look at it. Okay. We'll now talk of Anarchy to Yunarchy from 1947 to 2024, the troubled past of East Pakistan 1.5. You see this thumbnail? It's very dark, depressing. That's the state of Bangladesh. And that's the state of the people of Bangladesh. Let me explain. A nation is made of people. It's not made of anyone else. Whether Bangladesh is sunny or dark will be decided by the people. And the people today, not today, right from 1947, have had a dark past. People don't understand this. The past of Bangladesh is troubled. And that's what we're going to see today. And again, I'm going to stick to Bangladesh mainstream history. I'm not going to talk today about Bangladesh India relations, Bangladesh uh, China relations, the rise of JEI. We'll talk of all that a little later, maybe the next episode. In fact, the next episode. But today, we'll talk of mainstream history of Bangladesh, stroke East Pakistan 1.5. Look, we're going to be a little deliberate and go about this, point by point. I'll start about the East Pakistan period, 1947 to 1971. East Pakistan developed frictions with West Pakistan almost immediately. Linguistic, cultural, ethnic, a feeling of being economically and politically exploited by West Pakistan created all the frictions. There was a language movement, and that's important. In 1948, Jinnah declared that Urdu should be the sole official language. Now, the Bengali speaking majority, they were 56% of then Pakistan, United Pakistan. They didn't agree to this policy that Urdu is the national language of Pakistan. Remember, Pakistan has this great identity crisis. Urdu is not endemic to Pakistan. Pakistan has Pashto, Punjabi, Sindhi, Baluchi, Saraiki, and it had then also had Bengali, which was 56%. And that was the biggest percentage for a language. This was attempted to be replaced by Urdu, which is not a natural language. It was the language of the courts of the Mughals and the Muslim rulers of Delhi. That's all. It was not a common spoken language. So the language movement started in 1952. That was when the police fired on students in Dhaka. Bengali nationalism came up. It trumped religious identity. And then the political movement started. Around that time, 47 got independence. Awami League came in 1949 and it started promoting Bengali autonomy. Mujibur Rahman, he became the leader of this autonomous movement, or the autonomy movement. And he wanted a 6-point program for East Pakistan autonomy in 1966. Right? And just to give you a heads up, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman himself was some kind of an Islamist. If you see his past, the way the Awami League came up and the way he got hold of the Awami League and took the leadership of Awami League also indicates its own problems. What is the 6-point demand for autonomy? Very interesting to understand this. The 6-point demand for autonomy in Bangladesh was proposed in the Lahore Conference in 66 to end political and economic exploitation of East Pakistan. This was the cornerstone of the Bengali movement, the nationalist movement, and the basic catalyst for the independence of Bangladesh. So, what are these? East Pakistan should have a federal and parliamentary government based on direct elections. Second was limited central powers to control only defense and foreign affairs. They wanted separate currencies or financial safeguards, right? Either to direct convertible currencies or a single currency with constitutional measures to prevent capital flight. Why prevent capital flight? Even then, East Pakistan was felt that the West Pakistanis were sucking capital away from Bengal because Bengal was more industrialized than Pakistan. It had the jute industry, and Dhaka was the center. Incidentally, Dhaka was the bigger communication and business center and culture in United Bengal much before. It was much bigger than Calcutta. Calcutta came into prominence only after the Britishers came. Dhaka preceded that. And the Bengalis felt Dhaka was being exploited. They wanted provincial taxation power. And the revenue generated by taxation, only a share should go to Pakistan. They wanted separate foreign exchange accounts and trade. And they, very big. Actually, if you look at it, it was almost like secession. In fact, I wouldn't say secession, it was secession. Mujibur Rahman wanted a provincial militia, a own paramilitary force. The view in West Pakistan was this is a move towards secession. It's right. The 6-point demand for autonomy, which came up in 66, okay, in Lahore, it was put forth. Very clear. There were treason charges put against Sheikh Mujibur Rahman based on the Agartala conspiracy case. I'll not get into that. But it didn't stick. In this process, over a period of time, the movement became popular. And this was a precursor to Awami League's electoral victory in 1970 and the 1971 Liberation War or Bangladesh War. Understanding this is important. The political lead-up is important. Now the Liberation War started. There is a second part, the lead-up, then the Liberation War. The Liberation War or the Bangladesh War was based on the 1970 Cyclone Bola and the 1970 general election, which Awami League won hands down. It swept Bengal clean, 160 seats, which I showed you in the last one. But Yahya Khan and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto did not want to hand over power to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. But March 1971, Operation Searchlight and the crackdown and the genocide on Bangladesh started. 26th March 1971, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman declared independence. And we know later that year India intervened. All that. This is the period up to 1971. Now let's look at Bangladesh and its troubled history. Okay, now Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, for all his greatness, himself was a kind of a autocrat. In fact, in his early years, if you see, he was more of a Islamist himself. Okay, but the circumstances under which Bangladesh was born and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman came and way India reached out to Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, saved his family, drove him to the fact that Bangladesh adopted a secular parliamentary constitution in 1972. Just few months after liberation, they adopted this. But he faced immense challenges. Economy was devastated. There was a famine, 74, and political unrest. Now, when he was faced with all this, because it was a troubled country, there were enough people in Bangladesh who still wanted to be part of Pakistan. Now, Mujibur Rahman abolished the one-party system. And in fact, he abolished the multi-party system and instituted a one-party system. And he assumed the executive presidency with extraordinary powers, absolute authority. And he was assassinated. Now, this assassination was orchestrated by disgruntled army officers. The lead amongst them was Ziaur Rahman. Ziaur Rahman knew of this assassination. A man who was just a major in 72, or rather 71, became a major general by 75. He's got a past of his own. Okay. And why did this happen? Because of political instability and authoritarianism. One party rule called Baksal. Mujibur Rahman banned everyone and it slowly. Then there was economic mismanagement and famine. Huge. Okay. There was widespread corruption within Awami League. Awami League is not a saint. And a famine in 1974. The military had huge discontent. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman wanted a paramilitary force which was loyal to himself called Jatiya Raki Bahini. Because earlier Mukti Bahini was freedom struggle, freedom militia that was disbanded. He wanted to put that as part of the Jatiya Raki Bahini but also the Mukti Bahini had people who were against Mujib. And that was a period when there were internal conflicts and ideological differences within Pakistan army. Because there were a lot of people within Bangladesh who had pro-Pakistani leanings and anti-India feelings, and they were against Mujib. And Ziaur Rahman was one of them. Ziaur Rahman was one of them. There was ideological opposition to Mujib. And Mujib by then had realized that secularism is the only way forward. Plus, now US wanted to extract revenge. US ISI still had its tentacles in Bangladesh. China started playing up then itself. All three got together and destabilized Mujibur Rahman. And it ended up in his assassination by a group of officers, young junior officers, orchestrated by probably Ziaur Rahman. He knew about it and he kept quiet. But that assassination, did it lead to anything in Bangladesh? No. It culminated in Ziaur Rahman to become a president or take over, coup. It was a coup by him. Then he went on to found the Nationalist Party called the BNP. It enabled him to become a politician. He himself was assassinated in 1981. Okay, 4 years. Then later, 1982, H.M. Arshad takes over. He rules for 9 years and he goes to jail. But let's look at this. Interestingly, what happened in Bangladesh during Ziaur Rahman's rule is interesting. I was reading on the, on Ziaur Rahman. He was a major in 71. Okay. He got hold of a lot of people. He was against Pakistan, right? But he was not for India. He had his own thing. He was more political than anyone. He operated off Chittagong with an independent force. Chittagong Hill Tracts. And he was the one who gave a call for freedom without anyone's consultation. Politically, it was not acceptable. So then he started supporting Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. He fell in line with Awami League and a lot of other nationalist forces and all that. And then much later, he endorsed whatever Sheikh Mujibur Rahman said during that rule. And then he killed him. And then ultimately, 4 years later, he was also killed. He was a controversial figure. But what did he do? The constitution of Bangladesh in 72 was secular. Now, Ziaur Rahman took over. He abolished the one-party rule first, got everyone in. He banned All banned political and religious parties like GI were brought back. Founded the BNP, made it a big party to contend with Awami League. In any case, after Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was killed, Awami League went through the same phase it is going today. It was marginalized. History repeats itself in Bangladesh, but Bangladesh doesn't look at its own history. That's the beauty. I said they disregard their history, hence they have no future. So, and then there was an ideological shift. What is that? He did constitutional amendment. Okay, what did it there? Absolute faith and trust in Almighty Allah came into the constitution. Secularism as a founding principle was taken out. Important. So you see Islamization in the constitution of Bangladesh, this time induced by Ziaur Rahman. It's not new. If you think what Sheikh Hasina has now tried, what is now happening by Yunus, what is happening by JEI, it's not new. It's always there. When you go back to Ziaur Rahman's time, Islamism, anti-Hinduism. Then another major shift. You see, the entire Bangladesh was based on Bengali nationalism. It was not based on, because the concept of Bangladesh was not there before 71. But by 77, Ziaur Rahman, when he took over, he promoted something called a territorial identity called Bangladeshi nationalism. And Bengali nationalism is linguistic and ethnic and identifies itself with Hindu Bengal. So that was taken out. Important. So two things he did. Then, of course, opposition was suppressed. Awami League was marginalized. BNP was brought up. In terms of foreign policy, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's time in Bangladesh was closer to India and Soviet Union because they are the ones who gave them independence, help. After all, India got a lot of help from Soviet Union at that time. Military help to fight with East Pakistan and ward off USA. To the extent when the 7th Fleet came, the Soviets started moving a fleet into Bay of Bengal. That is when the whole story stopped. People don't realize this. So he moved away from this and he started developing ties with US, Western Europe, China and Middle East. The ties with China began with Ziaur Rahman. It's not now, it's then. Why? He felt India was its enemy. If India is the only enemy with 4,000 kilometers border, where could he go? He could either go to Pakistan, which by then was in its own problem. Huge problem by 77. Hanging of Bhutto, all that was happening there. So he could go to the Middle East, export labor there. It was exporting labor using Bangladeshi people, allowing them to go to Middle East. He went to Middle East, went to them and said, take my labor and give me foreign exchange. Then through that came the Wahhabi influence into Bangladesh. Islamism rose. He went to China for security. USA by then had lost interest in Bangladesh. Because there were other problems. We're talking of the Carter era and all that. Carter-Reagan era. So, but he moved away from India. Right? And 77 to 81 was also a troubled period for India. Remember that. You had the Janta experiment. 77, the Janta party came and it fell. And another came, fell. VP Singh's government came, fell. All those problems were there. India itself was unstable politically by 77, coincidental with Ziaur Rahman's rule. So we didn't have a grip on Bangladesh. So many people think, oh, why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen? Sorry, It couldn't have happened. Politically, we were not ourselves very clear what we wanted. 77, the summer of 77, I still remember listening to the results of Janata Party coming into power, Morarji Desai coming into power when I was traveling from Delhi to, Chennai in train. That's it. Hard facts. Then there was military discontent in that period. There was intra-army conflict. There are people who were executed. And some major or senior officers of Bangladeshi were reshuffled. And they all got together and operated against Ziaur Rahman. Anti-India sentiment, this, that. So ultimately, Ziaur Rahman was assassinated in 81 by a group of army officers. So you will see that the army has played a recurring role in Bangladeshi instability. Today, that army is sitting in barracks still and things pulling strings from behind. When will they come into the streets? Is something which we have to see as we go ahead. Will they come? Will Wakaruzaman come and tell Yunus everyone to pack off and will it go? The history suggests that. That's why I give it full support to the current army chief of Bangladesh, who is holding this country together. He's the only sensible guy I see in the horizon. Then comes Ershad's rule, 9 years, 82 to 90. It was also a military dictatorship. It later transformed into a civilian presidency. How did he come in? Abdul Sattar was the elected government immediately after Ziaur Rahman's death. He was thrown out. It was a bloodless coup. 24th March 1982. Right? The moment Ershad came, he imposed the martial law, suspended the constitution. Next year, he declared himself the president. Then he made controlled elections. He got people to, just like what's happened in Pakistan now. Pakistan was completely rigged elections. There he rigged the entire election process, ensured that people won. And he established his own party called the Jatiya Party. Today, there's no mention of Jatiya Party anywhere in any election. What were his key policies and initiatives? Islamization. So what Ziaur Rahman started, he continued. He threw away the original constitution of secularism and all that, finished. Then he made a constitutional amendment in 1988 and made Islam the state religion. So that this JEI and gang are happy about the whole affair. This happened. This is all facts. Of course, Ziaur Rahman and Ershad, they both military dictators, got in a lot of economic reforms, all that, liberalization policies, a lot of privatization and all that. But it didn't bear fruit because they didn't know what to do. You're looking at a time when this entire region was in trouble. The entire Indian subcontinent was in economic mess. Too much of command economies. But even in Pakistan, Bhutto was a socialist or a communist by nature. He was no paragon of virtue. India also. Morarji Desai was also leftist socialist, part of the freedom movement. Later, he tried to become more pro-USA and all that. Didn't succeed. We're talking about time. You're talking about an era where, a lot of widespread poverty, resources were less and far better. Today's India is far different from that India. And then, of course, his foreign policy. Same, he continued with what Ziaur Rahman did. Okay. Where did he go wrong? Again, same story, authoritarianism and corruption. So, authoritarianism and corruption is a recurring story in Pakistan. In East Pakistan 1.5 or Bangladesh, as you call it. It happened with Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, it happened with Ziaur Rahman, it happened with Ershad. It happened with all the guys in between who came in for a few periods, Sattar, Sutar, all these fellows. Every day, governments were changing those days. I remember that. Rights have always been suppressed in Bangladesh. And he placed Khalida Zia and Sheikh Hasina because both of them, in Ershad's rule, one important thing is that Khalida Zia and Sheikh Hasina started coming up politically back. In Ziaur Rahman's time, these were too young. During Ziaur Rahman's time, Khalida Zia was his wife. She was in the top. Once he got assassinated, but then BNP took root and she was at the head. Sheikh Hasina also made a comeback. Awami League brought her back. And they started coming up during Ershad's rule. He used to keep throwing them into jail regularly. He destroyed democracy completely. Okay. Now, that was when, towards the second half of Ershad's rule, Khalida Zia and Sheikh Hasina got together. The two Begums of Bangladesh got together. And they forced Ershad to resign in 1990. He was forced to resign. The last 3 years of his rule was quite turbulent. He was not only forced to resign, he was thrown into jail and he died in jail. For some time, the Jatiya Party was there, but now I don't hear of it. I don't know how many of you know what this Jatiya Party of Ershad was. And Ershad died a broken man. If you see his memoirs, he died. Well, anyway, that was Ershad's rule. So, you see a third guy who came into power. Then, the Battle of Begum starts, 91 to 2009. 18 years of Battle of Begums. Khalida Zia, followed by Sheikh Hasina, Khalida Zia, then Sheikh Hasina. In this, both different ideologies, completely opposites, not political opposites, ideological opposites, where power was the only criterion in East Pakistan, 1.5. Rather, I'll say Bangladesh. At that point of time, we all felt that Bangladesh has to go through this tribulation. There was intense rivalry between Sheikh Hasina and Khalida Zia. The good part of this period, 91 till 2009, the Battle of Begums, is parliamentary democracy came back. By then the army started realizing that they don't have a role in Bangladesh. The Bengali Muslims of Bangladesh wouldn't allow the army to succeed. And the army knew that they can't succeed. So army chiefs after that said, look, we'll let democracy take root. Otherwise, we'll go nowhere. See, one of the things with Bangladesh is, one of the problems with Bangladesh, and this is something which we have to understand. Where does Bangladesh go? Pakistan, to theek hai, it will break up into Sindh and Punjab and Pashtunistan and Baluchistan and POK. It will go into 5 pieces. Where does Bangladesh go? Bangladesh is a one-party system, one-unit system. There's no breakup of Bangladesh which can happen. And this is something which we have to understand. When you deal with Pakistan, you can break up Pakistan. You can't break up Bangladesh. You have to think politically about Bangladesh to understand where we are heading. Then, when this power transition took place with caretaker government, non-caretaker government, all that, but they struggled till 2009. till 2009. And 2009, Sheikh Hasina wins elections and then holds on to power. And she throws Khalida Zia in jail. And we know when Sheikh Hasina came back in 2009, it was a landslide victory because by then Bangladesh was a basket case. No one wanted to touch it. Sheikh Hasina comes back, and interestingly, I wouldn't say interestingly, first time Sheikh Hasina came, she was weak. Her government was weak. The BNP was still the dominant, and she didn't have a great majority, right? And so BNP could trouble her. Khalida Zia followed her husband's footsteps. She was also anti-India. So during her period, the relationship with China became better, or rather stronger. She started, in some manner, getting back to Pakistan. This is the time when this Grameen Bank of Yunus all started. And Yunus had political ambitions through that also. And this is the time when Khalida Zia started speaking of Greater Bangladesh. It was Khalida Zia who started speaking of Greater Bangladesh. What is Greater Bangladesh? It says in Bangladesh and its people need space, Lebanon. So we need space along the Brahmaputra. Whatever is there in Assam will be ours. It's a matter of time. Why? Please understand. Hailakandi and Karimganj along the Barak Valley are Muslim majority districts of Assam. What about Dubri? What about Nagaon? Those are also the Muslim majorities of Assam. He says her plan was we'll first populate the Muslim majorities. Kokrajhar. See, Kokrajhar is funny. The top half is all Bodos, bottom half is all Muslims. So, Kokrajhar will have always problems of this kind, and it's there. So, we will spread along the valleys of Barak and Brahmaputra and get space for Muslims. Actually, that is why they wanted Northeast, all that. The later thing is they come this side. They didn't have, for Bangladesh to spread into West Bengal and further into Jharkhand and Orissa and all that, as now Great Bengal, it's not a natural phenomenon. The natural phenomenon is further east. I'll talk of this in the next podcast. I'll talk of the concept of Greater Bengal in the next podcast, because in the next podcast I'm going to come to the current situation of Greater Bengal, China, Bangladesh, China, India, those things. JEI. And then we'll see where it goes. But that will be a week down the line. So, Khalida Zia started propagating this. And she started giving shelter to Northeast militants, Ulfa, PLA, Manipur, Tripura, NLFT. Tripura was in flames, if you people don't know. And Tripura people could just walk into any part of Bangladesh, Sylhet region. That is eastern Bangladesh, northeastern Bangladesh. Natural. Agartala. Those of you who don't know Agartala, when you land into Agartala, you actually fly into Bangladesh and land into Agartala. Under the plane, you can see the border between India and Bangladesh. Even now. Look, I commanded my brigade there. I know it. Agartala was my headquarters. So you find that this thing was there at that time. When Sheikh Hasina came, she started improving relations with India and the world and started stabilizing Bangladesh. And a lot of good things came out. A lot of good things came out with Sheikh Hasina. And she remained in office till last year. We know that. 2009 to 24, 15 years. Lot of economic growth, everything. But accusations of authoritarianism, Now, authoritarianism never left Bangladesh, whether it was Sheikh Mujibur Rahman or Ziaur Rahman or Ershad or Khalida Zia or Sheikh Hasina. They were all authoritarians. Whenever they were in power, they killed the opposition. And now a new story started. We know this story. We have this Yunarchy, ये लकड़ी पे काटी काटी पे घोड़ा type. That's why thumbnail. So you see that this is a troubled nation. Has it, you know, got what it wanted ever? What did it want? I've never understood what Bangladesh wants. What does the average Bangladeshi man wants on ground? Does it peace? Peace with whom? Does it want economic progress? They want to overtake India. What do they want? They want to be anti-India. They want to be pro-China. They want to be Pakistan. I feel today they want to be East Pakistan 1.5. And I'll go back to what I said in the earlier thing on Bangladesh, the events leading to 71 war. Because that's important. Because this is what it is. Today they are carrying out a historical revisionism. They are re-evaluating the narrative of 1971 liberation war and the role of nation's founder Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. They are actually saying Mujibur Rahman did not give them independence. It was Ziaur Rahman. Ziaur Rahman was sitting in Chittagong hill tracts. It was Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, good, bad or ugly. He was the one who stood up, who went to Lahore for that Lahore declaration, sought the 6-point agenda, or which built the momentum for autonomy. From autonomy, people, he was the one who was put in jail for treason. He was tried. Then when he won the elections, he was put in jail again. When the entire Bangladesh war was happening, he was in jail in Lahore. For some time after Bangladesh lost the war, and not Pakistan lost the war, and Dhaka and Bangladesh was declared independent, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman was in jail in Pakistan. From there, he went to London and then came here. People don't know that. There was a danger that he might be killed there only. This is also on the cards till Pakistan's tail was twisted and said, partner, to chhod do usko. Now, Bangladesh wants to throw such a man out, good, bad, or ugly. He came and what he did. And get Sheikh Ziaur Rahman, who did nothing. They want to declare him as the father of the nation. You might not like what Gandhiji did in India, but you don't kill him. You don't finish him off. That's revisionism. Some revisionism will always happen in every country. Even in USA, it's happening. Even in China, it's happening. China they themselves revise their own histories. They keep revising it faster than we change diapers. Even in USA, it's happening. Every country revises its history because it suits political idea. But in Bangladesh, it happens like that. They're altering textbooks to say Ziaur Rahman was the liberator. They're sidelining India's contribution. Without India, Bangladesh wouldn't have been there. There's no way. Another 5 lakh people would have been killed and raped, and half of Bangladesh would be East Pakistan 1.5 truly, because that many more illegal children would have been born. I'm telling you, you see Raghurai's black and white pictures. They tell you the story. There's a clip, I think, of UNICEF or WHO or UN or something like that. I don't remember. I've seen it. I've got it, but I don't want to put it because if I put it, YouTube will ban it. It talks of the number of people who have impregnated and through rape, and the spike in Bangladesh population in 1971. Okay. And now the guys who oppose their liberation, like JEA, are being brought back into the mainstream. They're going against their own history. Who this Al Badr and Razakars, you talk of all these, who are there? Basically JEA. They've lifted the ban on Jamaat Islam. Convicted militants have been released. People who are on death sentence have been released. Individuals with affiliation to Hizbul Tahrir, which is again completely Islamist. They are in government positions. Communal violence. They have targeted all minorities, whether it's Buddhists, Hindus, or Christians, and they refuse to acknowledge it. And they say, no, it's not there. Just because these East Pakistanis think that they say it's not there, it doesn't run away. Ill-treating minorities, targeted killing of minorities doesn't run away. That is why I say it is East Pakistan 1.5. Their secular culture from 71 constitution to now has changed completely. There's no more a secular nation. They are East Pakistan 1.5. And there's an Islamist counter-revolution happening, which I spoke. Why? They want to now completely make it a Muslim country with no secular credentials. They want it to be theocratic. They want to be anti-India completely. Am I going to say that this is what it is and this is what we should do and all that? Sorry, we have to do what we have to do. No more Bangladeshi brothers. Please understand, if this is going to be East Pakistan 1.5, we have to deal with it differently. How we are going to deal with it differently, I'll get to it. After all, I have to give you the other shape of Bangladesh, the geopolitical aspects of Bangladesh, the economic aspects of Bangladesh, the rise of JEI in Bangladesh, China. I'll talk of it next week and then we'll see how to handle Bangladesh. Right? So I think we'll leave this today. I do hope you have enjoyed both these. I'll split it and put it up so that you can see it individually. I'll do it by tomorrow. If you like this, press the like button, and I'll take on a few questions now. Right? And also join Gunner Shot as members. Subscribe to Gunner Shot, and press the bell icon. Yeah. Yep. Let's take some questions. Vasu Iyengar, thanks a lot for joining. Now, don't get too focused on what's happening with Pakistan. I agree with you. That's why I've done that. The significance of that is something else. It's a political strike which is more important. Yeah, love the Chennai filter coffee. Thank you. Good morning, Ladybird Haru. Yeah, Jai Hind. And good morning, sir. Seem to be enjoying your coffee. Yeah, that's my morning coffee. To me, a Hindutva mindset is a Bharatiya mindset. I will not call it that much because we have to remain secular. We have to carry 20% of our minorities along. Okay. If the Hindutva mindset is the Bharatiya mindset, which enables us to take this 20% along, I'm for it. But at this point of time, I don't think we are there. Yeah, absolute truth, General Shankar sir. Thank you. Good evening from US, General Garu. Thank you, KD Raya. We should have big dreams, send more immigrants to UK and all that. Yeah, that's okay, fine. Yeah, any possibility of Bangladesh and Pakistan becoming one country again? No, I don't. Pakistan has. I've shown you. Pakistan is in the verge of splitting. Okay, If the split takes place, Pakistani generals won't know what to do. And Bangladesh is too much of turmoil. They don't have the political thing. Everything, all these revolve around politics. They don't have the political critical mass to join back again. Thank you for the great videos. Thank you, Mrs. Clares. Who is benefiting by making us fight with Pakistan? Don't let them benefit from all the chaos and suffering. Pakistan, whether India will benefit if Pakistan goes where it has to go and leaves us alone. But Pakistan won't do that. That's the problem. Amazing topics today here for my education. Yeah. What are your views on Mamdani? I've done a program on Mamdani. Have a look at it. One full program. Why are you asking me now? That obviously you don't seem to know what I do. You don't watch my programs. Yeah, I repeat, we as civilians want instant retribution. How do you maintain that level headedness even during battle and be analytical? It will help us in our daily life too. Very important. In life, I've learned take a step back always. You take one step back initially, you can always you get regain balance and you can take 4 steps forward. Even in battle, I've always felt that, the time you should think. Battle is, if you're a leader, you let others fight and make them fight the way you want them to fight. Think. Leaders plan, leaders think under fire. Adversity is an opportunity. Pressure has to be transferred back. This is what we have to start thinking. Yeah, I love to listen to him while I work in office from Bangalore. Thanks a lot. Happy morning, General Shankar sir. Have a great day. Thank you. Yeah, this is important. We don't want war. We want development. That's what I'm also saying. We don't want war with Pakistan. Wreck them politically. Good morning, General sir and fellow viewers. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, what's the objective of going on revisionism in Bangladesh? Like, do the Jamaat want to again merge with Pakistan? There's no other reason to erase Sheikh Mujib's legacy. Let's see, because I think Bangladesh doesn't know what it wants. Even the Jamaat doesn't know what it wants. From what little I read about it, they're Islamist, they want all that. The physicality of not being close to Pakistan, lack of contacts, they just have an anti-India feeling. Like, we'll discuss this as we go along. The Sindh speech seems to have come right at the heels of Afghan Commerce Minister's visit too. Yeah, that is there. I've shown you the Afghan reaction also. When you are not in debate, we lose our interest in the debate. Please make yourself available, sir. Yeah, Prasanna, I'll be flying into my flight starts at 7:30 to 9 o'clock to Indore. Just not possible. And by the time you reach Indore airport to Army War College, Mao is another 1.5 hours. By the time I'll reach, it'll be 11 o'clock. And tomorrow I'm starting back. My flight is at 10 o'clock at night. So a lot of problems. Bengali culture has always had very empowered women. How is the Islamist resurgence affecting these values? Look, the fact that Sheikh Hasina and Khalida Zia rose to power was against Islamic resurgence. But now I don't think that is going to happen anymore. They don't have any women leaders in the second rank at all. As I said, it's going to be interesting as to what happens in Bangladesh. We need to pay a lot of attention to Bangladesh. Ramki, good morning. Yeah, Aksai Chin Arrow and the Bharatiya vision that you mentioned, goosebumps. I mean, I do hope it becomes Uh, yeah, someone called you and General Rajiv RSS appointees. Why are leftists in India so radicalized? Oh, well, this is to be expected in a democracy. A political guy will only think politically, he will not think anywhere else. And if he is politically uh, aligned with a particular ideology, that's where he'll go. Yeah. Yeah, Mr. Rajnath Singh has been making intermittent statements about POK. Is it all lip service since it gains traction, or is the government really doing something secretly? I'll stay in between. I agree with you to a large extent that he's made these statements, not backed it up. I hope all this gets some backing because that political teeth is important to bite into Pakistan. Yeah, why can't Sheikh Hasina, who's still the Bangladesh PM, not having resigned, issue an order to arrest and prosecute? Well, the ground realities are different. She's lost it. I think she's history. She's gone. Let's not think she's got nuisance value for Bangladesh. That's why I said I will analyze Bangladesh down the line. You keep your questions. Okay, Atish, good morning. Thanks a lot. Um, hmm. Very even-handed narrative, sir. Well explained, and I'm learning a lot today. Thanks. We are doing great geopolitics in Bangladesh despite no support from within except Awami League. You have to be patient. Strategic patience is important in this time. Okay. Fantastic presentation with so much history in a nutshell. Yeah, the whole idea is we talk nonsense without understanding what the story is. That's why I'm telling the story, the past, and then we'll connect it, take it to the future. So what I want you to do is give it to all your friends, both these, and I'm going to split it and put it out anyway. Yeah, I too desire to bring back Pakistan or Bangladesh into the greater Hindustan, Bharat. Historically, they are part of our subcontinent. We don't need them. Please understand. What do you do with? You're looking at half the population or more than half the population of India. 250 million Pakistanis, 200 million of Bangladesh. What do you do with them? We don't want them. They're completely Islamized, and they will be a complete loggerhead with the Hindus here. We don't need them. Let them exist the way they have to. I'm against this great Akhand Bharat business because you don't need it. What do you? That land comes with huge liability. The liability of that many Islamized Islamists. Yeah, until some years, Bangladesh wasn't a basket case like Pakistan. It had a. I agree with you. Bangladesh was doing very well. Bangladesh example was being quoted in Pakistan. They have gone. They've themselves thrown themselves under the bus. That's the interesting thing. This is only part of this to make you understand the what Pakistan, Bangladesh was. We'll go take it forward. Don't worry. Yeah. Right. Any other question? Thanks for this timeline style presentation. Thank you. Uh, yeah, that's it for the day. Thanks a lot. Will not be in the evening. I'll not meet you in the evening. I'll get back to you on Wednesday morning. Till then, have a great time and enjoy yourselves. Jai Hind to all of you.